Good morning, everyone. My name is Dave Johnson. I am the Deputy General Manager of Engineering and Operations for the Las Vegas Valley Water District and the Southern Nevada Water Authority. And on behalf of the Southern Nevada Water Authority and our partners and sponsors, I'd like to welcome you to Las Vegas in the 10th Annual WaterSmart Innovations Conference and Exposition. 10 years, isn't that awesome? 10. We've got an outstanding program that you'll experience over the next few days, and I hope that you find value in connecting with your peers and colleagues and to learn more and to share more about the issues that face us. But before we do that, I must address the tragic events that happened earlier this last weekend. Words cannot express the grief and sadness that this community has faced in losing almost 60 lives with this senseless tragedy. Hundreds and hundreds of our citizens and visitors being injured, and many lives in our community forever being altered by this senseless act of violence. But we are not going to allow that to define who we are. And in fact, Las Vegas, if you have been able to see in the media, has been able to really rise up. And in the face of this, early, I remember on Monday morning, there was a call for blood, and many of the people that immediately responded to that. We had blood banks that were overflowing with people, 3-4 hour waits for people in line to be able to donate blood. Countless supplies have been donated, and really it's been a major outpouring of love and support for our community. And so again, we're committed to not letting this define who Las Vegas is, and this outpouring of love and support truly is a demonstration. It makes me proud to be a Las Vegan. And as I look around the room, it gives me even greater pleasure to see all of the people who are here who took their time and energy and overcame any concerns or fears that they may have had in coming to this event to be a part of this great community and this great initiative. And on behalf of all Las Vegans, we thank you for helping us to bring some normalcy to our community and to being able to further what we're doing as part of the WaterSmart initiative. A decade ago, drought really tightened its grip on the Colorado River, and a group of people came together to work on water issues very similar to what it is we're doing today, and to address challenges and improve water efficiency for our industry. Our objective was simple: to unite water professionals from around the globe under one roof where they could share their insights and experiences and learn best practices from each other, here in the most improbable setting for discussions of prudence and restraint. 10 years later, and thanks to the steadfast commitment of our forward-thinking partners in both the public and private sectors, as well as many professionals in this room, WaterSmart Innovations has grown into the premier event of its kind in the world. During the past decade, WaterSmart Innovations has served as a platform for thousands of professionals from 46 states and the District of Columbia, as well as 39 nations around the world, to network in an atmosphere of collegiality. We've programmed hundreds of professional sessions and panel discussions and gleaned insights from an array of keynote speakers ranging from a member of Jordan's royal family to sustainability practitioners, all of whom are committed to helping the world achieve a more sustainable and verdant future. One of the unique aspects of WaterSmart Innovations is that it encourages participation by professionals from a variety of fields. This is by design because we believe water efficiency is not exclusively the domain of water utilities. By leveraging the resources and ideas of public and academic partners, innovation can bring water to a thirsty planet more affordably and efficiently than ever before. In the spirit of innovation and forward thinking people, it gives me great pleasure to introduce this year's keynote speaker. Catherine Greener is Vice President of Sustainability for Xanterra Parks and Resorts, the United States' largest park concessions management company, with lodging and restaurants in state and national parks across the country. Catherine oversees the company's corporate environmental initiatives. She brings more than 25 years of experience in the implementation of sustainability, lean manufacturing, and quality management systems to Xanterra. Before joining Xanterra in 2012, she was Vice President of Sustainability Consulting at Saatchi & Saatchi S, Team Leader Commercial and Industrial Team, Rocky Mountain Institute, and Director of Quality and Customer Focus for ABB Flexible Automations. And a fun factoid that she mentioned to me this morning is she's actually the first woman day shift supervisor for the Pontiac Motor Company. Catherine holds a bachelor's degree in industrial engineering from Northwestern University and an MBA from the University of Michigan. Go blue, go blue. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Catherine Greener.
So I do the 5'3" adjustment. Good morning, everyone. Wide awake. So before I begin my remarks, I, like the rest of you, were impacted by the events of the last several days. They weigh heavily on my heart, and I would like to just take a moment and deviate from my prepared talks just to share a Native American prayer. Creator, open our hearts to peace and healing between all people. Creator, open our hearts to provide and protect for all children of the earth. Creator, open our hearts to respect for the earth and all the gifts of the earth. Creator, open our hearts to end exclusion, violence, and fear among all. And thank you for the gifts of this day and every day. So good morning again, and welcome to this 10th year of the WaterSmart Innovations Conference, and thank you for coming. And most of us can agree that we're perched on one of the most unprecedented time of change in the world. Like, who feels like this change? Like, I think back to 10 years ago. What were we playing with? How many people still had flip phones 10 years ago? It makes our head spin. Automation. Now they have the artificial intelligence. I'm still working on original intelligence. Technology advances, the population pressures, environmental impacts, the planetary climatic changes of geologic proportions. That's like a mouth word at 9:30 in the morning. No doubt, you all are on the front line of this. Water conservation, water works, water efficiency, water regulation, water innovation, and you're juggling. You're swimming upstream. All right, enough of that. Okay. You're managing and witnessing the changes of the past decade. They're both exhilarating beyond the words. And for a lot of us in this field, excruciatingly challenging. It is no longer business as usual. Who thinks it's business as usual? Maybe this is your business as usual, I don't know. And there's not one thing on this planet, not one thing that can be sustained without water. Water is the equation. And in fact, what is becoming so apparent is that while, as an engineer, I love this stuff, I get lost in the aspects of delivering the water, maintaining the water, treating the water, conserving the water, and getting all those pumps and pipes to connect and move in the right direction. And it's something I just marvel. I marvel at the work that you guys are doing. And so when I thought about this, I thought about, what have I learned about water? I'm a sustainability person. I'm kind of a geek, but this power of water. So I took a pause. So what have I learned from water? And as you might can tell, I might have always been a bit of a rule breaker. And it started out really early. When I was approximately 18 months old, I decided to elude my mother's careful, watchful eye, and I set out to explore the kitchen. I'm sure none of you have children that can figure out how to climb over the end of the crib, or they're already teenagers, they've eluded every part of your watchful eye. So I set out and explored the kitchen. So as my mom was busy preparing dinner, I decided to solo free climb the cabinets. Just climbing it up, hand over hand, until I reached the expanse of the counter. Oh, the wondrous delights up there. But one thing caught my eye. It was a cup of tea with this tea bag just hanging over. As an 18-month-old, I thought, wow, this is going to be fun. So I took the tea bag, pulled the tab over my head. Boiling hot water came cascading down over my head, my face, my neck, my back. It was probably my first failed experiment, but it obviously was not a good one. Racing to the screaming baby, my mother reacted very quickly and immediately put me under the cold running water, under the bathtub, and saved my skin as I stand here before you. And there's so many lessons embedded in this. Water hurt me, water saved me. And we, at the time, living in Milwaukee, we were very, very blessed to have running water. And water taught me to be grateful. And I live and work where clean, fresh water is not only part of the fabric of my life, but it's taken for granted. So in preparing for today's keynote, I really, really thought about the topic of water. And all of you who are water professionals, how many of you just take a stop and say, I'm just going to be this really mindful of water? So it's kind of fun. So this hyper observation, it's kind of an engineer's way of saying like mindfulness, if you're a yogi in the audience. But I focused on everything where water impacted my day to day. So here is my day. I got up with the alarm, I threw back my sheets, and of course I washed them in cold water because, right, I know how to do that. I've read the studies, I know about the environmental footprint of cold versus warm. I then programmed my coffee maker to wake me up with my 4 cups of regular and my 4 cups of Swiss water processed decaf. So in here, you'll see that little tiny dot. I don't know if those of you in the back can see that tiny little dot. It takes 37 gallons of water to make that delicious 1 cup of coffee. I then got up, watered my plants. I gave my cat, named after mathematics, cosine, some water, because she likes that in the morning, and I gave it because my cat likes ice in her water. So of course I got that from the refrigerator. I then put milk in my coffee, whole milk. I took my shower. And I confess, I know all the things, even in our properties and some of our public showers, we're looking at shower timers. I like to shower dance. I like to do that shower dance. You stand there. How many times I get lost in that thought, and you're like, ooh, I'm supposed to be doing water conservation. And my husband's like, hey, how long are you going to be in there? But I just relish in the joy of the fact we can do that. I mean, we do a lot with low-flow shower heads in our business, and I love the shower this morning. So then I brushed my teeth. I don't let the water run when I'm brushing my teeth. I put on my clean clothes. I'm not going to double count this in my water footprint because I'm assuming I put the clean clothes. They came out the same with the sheets. And then I flushed the toilet. I'm not going to go into too much detail here because I know that's already too much information, but it goes anywhere. It's magical. I mean, you think about it. You probably don't think about this, but the actual magic of what happens. Like, wow. Thank you for all of you who do what you're doing in here to actually design this to go lower and lower. So then I washed my hands. I drove to work. I don't have an electric car yet. I'm working on it. I actually do have a Subaru Forester. It was kind of cool. I'll put that in there. I have a combustion engine, and that car is filled with aqueous fluids, lots of transmission fluid, gasoline, synthetic oil, windshield fluids. And throughout my day, when I got to the office, I repeated the cycle in this beverage bathroom. I worked all day on the computer. Hopefully, even 10 years ago, you weren't working on this computer. And then I drove home. I ate dinner. I had a very small whiskey. And of course, like my cat, I take mine with ice. My husband, the nutritionist, tells me I need to drink 8 glasses of water per day. He says I can't count my coffee. But according to the Nature Conservancy, I, like the rest of you as average Americans, we have a water footprint of over 32,000 glasses of water per day. We're only supposed to drink 8. Ironically, yet, we're still chronically dehydrated. Clean water is indeed a miracle of this modern life. Just transport yourself a moment to Irma's path of destruction in the Virgin Islands or Puerto Rico, where suddenly there is no fresh water, running water, and life comes to a halt. As we know, there are many places that don't have this gift of water. Only less than 1% of the world's water resources are available to provide for the freshwater needs of our planet's ecosystem and population. 1.8 billion people still lack fresh access to fresh supply, and 2.5 billion need improved sanitation. And this one just broke my heart when I was researching it. Water-related diseases kill 1 child every 15 seconds. And in this keynote, that would have been 240 children. A recent McKinsey report found by 2030, water supplies will only satisfy 60% of the global demand. And that is why your work is so important and so critical. So my lessons to respect and honor water did not stop as a toddler. Oh, so if you guys anyone recognize this rock? It's kind of a famous rock. So as a young adult, I used to love water sports. Absolutely loved them. But ironically, I didn't know how to swim. I think I dog paddled my way to get some first aid thing I had to go through at some camp one year, but not even a stroke. Couldn't put my face in the water. With a life preserver, I was absolutely fearless. Man, I could float in anything. I learned how to slalom water ski. It was just kind of nuts. So a bunch of my friends decided that we should spend the weekend and do several runs through the white water of the lower Yakagani River. Anyone run this one? Okay, well, kind of crazy. It was a July 4th weekend, and it's been a really, really wet summer, and it was running really hard. The first day we went, it was a blast, just a lot of fun. We stayed upright, we bounced off of rocks, we did all the things that we were supposed to do. The second day was a completely different story. The river seemed to be running harder, and I don't remember if there was any rain or anything like that. So I was in a 4-man raft, and we capsized at a rock. It's this rock called Dipple Rock. And by the way, over 18 people have died at this location in the river. As you know, when things go wrong, they typically go wrong for more than one reason. Some sort of engineering disaster. I had a life preserver on, and it wasn't fitted right. Causal of why things went wrong. So the life preserver actually floated over my head. When we went into the rock, we went straight up, and then we capsized. I came out under, came up, and went into an eddy. And we got caught and swirled around and swirled around. And if you've been in the water, you know you're supposed to keep your feet forward. All right, keeping my feet forward. I'm like, I haven't breathed in a really long while, and I don't think I can breathe water. This is not going well. So I pulled down on my life preserver. I popped up, took a deep breath of air, and went back under. Went, well, that was successful. And I'm still under the water. So I was able to repeat the cycle of pulling down, popping up, breathing, and I got to yell, help. And as I did that, a kayaker came by, kind of did a half roll, pulled me out, put me up on a rock. I slid back in, and off I went. So I survived. And from that day on, I feared water. No life preserver. You weren't going to get me near anything that was bigger than a bathtub. So about 10 years ago, in that awesome decimated business climate of 2008, I decided to start my own business. I was terrified. So right around that, while I was wrestling with the fear of oh my God, when am I going to get my paycheck? My husband said, I think you need to learn how to swim. I was like, what? No, as you get older, it helps. You kind of got a high mileage athlete thing going and knee surgeries. You need to know how to swim. I'm like, I'll tell you what, I'll learn how to swim if you learn how to dance. Figured that was going to kill it. Nope, didn't kill it. I'm like, you're going to learn how to dance? He's like, when you learn how to swim? So, yep, there I was with all the other kindergartners going, see the fishies, hear the fishies, see the fishies, hear the fishies. So it took me 3 years to get into the deep end. Yep, 3 years to get into the deep end. And lots of swim lessons and hyperventilations later. I still can't do a flip turn. That going upside down thing just freaks me out. But I'm pretty good at 3 different strokes now. And water has taught me to relax. Water has taught me to overcome fear. But I've never forgotten that power of water. And after this summer, water has showed that you definitely can have too much of a good thing. I gotta have a cool science chart. All right, I promise I got really pretty pictures coming up. I learned this summer that you really need 3 things for a hurricane. 3 things. Warm oceans, greater than 80 degrees Fahrenheit, moist air, and right prevailing winds. So you kind of add some climate change into this, the warmest temperatures that we've had. And Dave introduced me, he talked about Pontiac Motors, where I worked in an engine plant, and hurricanes are just like those engines. They use warm water as their fuel. As warm oceans will intensify the hurricanes because they provide more heat, a little bit of thermodynamics, therefore more energy to the storm. The warmer atmosphere holds more. We have had 2 500-year events in a 16-day period. Throw in Maria, we now have had 3 within a month. The actual amount of water in these events are just staggering. Hurricane Harvey dispensed 33 trillion gallons of water in the U.S. soil. I don't know what a trillion looks like. The amount of rain that fell in Texas and Louisiana would have ended the historic California drought twice over. Near Mount Bellevue, Texas, almost 52 inches of rain fell. That's the highest rainfall total recorded in any storm in the history of the United States. It has taken Death Valley, California, 23 years to accumulate that much rain. In Harris County alone, which is the home to Houston, 1 trillion gallons, there's that T word again, fell in the 4 days from Saturday through Tuesday. That's as much water that flows over Niagara Falls in 15 days. The 275 trillion points of water that came down from Hurricane Harvey, this is just mind-boggling. It deformed the Earth's crust 2 centimeters. The weight of the water, moved. So this is a graphic from the Washington Post that I found. And looking at the cube, taking that volume and putting it into a cube. So I don't know if you can see this well, but behind. But that on the ground, that's a Google map of Houston. This is a cube, 3.1 miles by 3.1 miles. That is what the rain filled up. Kind of an amazing graphic. And then came Irma. Not done, we got another one. The strongest hurricane to form in the Atlantic in 10 years. Just days after Harvey, 200 billion gallons of water in the Jacksonville, Florida area. That's equivalent to the water flow to St. John River for 22 days. So are your water treatment facilities and infrastructure ready for these kind of events? I know I asked this question, I was like, we're not. And then we have Maria. There were tsunami warnings signaling storm surges that were over 9 feet. And what was it as to today? Still, most of the country is without fresh water, and still it was something like half without electricity when we're restoring. For any and all of you and your families that have endured the destruction of these storms, my deepest concerns and support continue to go out to you. We are now living in an unprecedented atmospheric system. So something kind of puzzled me. Nothing like a little Poisson distribution for your morning coffee. So I did a little math. Granted, I didn't go into textbooks. I had to look up the Poisson mean. That's how they learn things now. So I said, they told us these were 500-year events. So what are the odds, now that we're in Vegas, of having 2 Harvey and Irma 500-year events within 16 days? So I did that, and I actually can go with this and calculate this with you. So according to my math, and I'd be happy to have somebody check my math, but 1 in 260 million. I'm sure somebody here would probably take your money on that one. And then you Add Maria, the odds of having 3 500-year events within 30 days of each other is about 1 in 1.2 trillion. So the assumption becomes flawed when they're 1 in 500-year events. They're no longer 500-year events. We don't know what they are because the system has changed. We can no longer look to the past to predict the future. All right, all you Lewis and Clarks out there, this is the new world in which we live in. We're facing new risks, unimagined disruptions and variations to our communities, our businesses, our supply chains and markets. We are all here together at this conference with a common goal: water stewardship. And water stewardship is more than just a calling, a purpose. It's really good business. We know now that there are opportunities to save money through efficiency and conservation. There's opportunities to develop and access new markets, new customers, build brand reputations. There's opportunities to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Because water typically doesn't go where you want it to go by itself. If you want it to go someplace different than where it wants to go, there's usually some energy and pumps. So we in the business community feel a deep responsibility. We have a responsibility to understand the impacts to our own business from climate change and extreme weather, but we have a responsibility also to set goals on water stewardship, to innovate, train, and communicate to the people that we impact on what water stewardship is. And we have a responsibility to lead. And the pretty pictures are coming now. So Xanterra Parks and Resorts, we operate in some of the most beautiful places on Earth.